We're getting reports that 5 attackers have been killed. But Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge suggests it likely took upwards of a dozen people to plan and execute an attack of this magnitude, meaning this manhunt is likely far from over. Those who are said to have been shooting into at least one of these restaurants did so from a car and then drove away. And that's not even to take into account the multiple other shooters who appear to have been in Paris, France tonight and may be unaccounted for. Congressman Peter King is the chairman of the Counterterrorism and Intelligence Subcommittee of the Homeland Security Committee. He's with us tonight. Congressman, thank you for being here. First, just give us the big picture. Give us the big picture on what we've seen today.
This was a vicious, diabolical attack carried out, I'm certain, by Islamic terrorists, most likely ISIS. It's the nightmare scenario that all of us who deal with intelligence and Islamic terrorism fear. That the fact that you could have foreign fighters, most likely coming back from Syria, carrying out an attack like this, coordinated attacks, hitting all different levels of society, hitting restaurants, hitting a concert hall, hitting a soccer stadium, to create this fear, this feeling of fear and absolute confusion and chaos. This was terrorism at its worst, and this is what could happen really in any major large city in the United States or in Europe. And we have to always be on our guard. I hope this is a wake-up call. I hope the president is listening when this morning he said that ISIS is contained. This shows that it's going to be a long, hard fight before ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Islamic terrorism is contained and destroyed. So this is a war, and we have to realize that we have to stop holding back and stop making believe that our main worry is how fast we can close Guantanamo. Our main goal has to be how quickly we can destroy ISIS.
The situation is fluid, and we are working on preliminary information. But according to one report, one of the men arrested near the Bataclan, the concert hall, where so many were murdered tonight, the man taken into custody reportedly told the authorities, "I was recruited by ISIS along with 3 others coming from Syria." There has been a huge controversy in France over how many of these refugees coming from Syria they should take, and whether it was a matter of being humane or whether it was a matter of potentially jeopardizing the people of France and their safety. We, too, have been engaged in the same debate here in the United States, and we have taken in over 1,000. The president says we'll take in 10,000. The question I have for you is how confident are you that we have an adequate screening process here?
Megyn, I'm not confident at all. I have no confidence. And by the way, neither does the FBI or the other agencies in our government, because they have no databases to work from. We don't know who these people are. There are no records. There are no government records we can go to. There's no personnel records we can go to. We don't know who these people are. So you have, and we know that ISIS does want to infiltrate terrorists into Europe and the United States with these refugees. Also, in addition to that, you have the foreign fighters. There's thousands of Europeans, many of them French, who have gone down to Syria to fight alongside ISIS, to be trained as terrorists, and they are coming back into Europe. And once they get to Europe, they can fly into the United States without getting a visa. This is a very desperate situation, and I don't hear many people in our government talking about it, many candidates talking about it. The president somehow thinks ISIS is under control. And you think of what's happened just in the last week. There's been the Russian jet has come down. There's been over 200 people killed, men, women, and children. The bombs going off in Lebanon. Now what we're seeing tonight in Paris. This is, Megyn, this is the real deal. And when I think of all the attacks that were made on the NYPD, because the fact that they were monitoring potential terrorists here in New York City, well, maybe if the Paris police could have incorporated those same methods, this may not have happened. And
but we're not doing that anymore here in New York.
Well, let me give Commissioner Bratton, he's doing the best he can under certain circumstances, and it's not as much as it was done before, and that's part of the problem we face. But I will say,
is there any other way? Is there any other way in a free society? And some would question whether we are free if you have, the law enforcement infiltrating places like mosques. I understand that. But is there any other way, besides doing that you can realistically prevent someone from strapping on a suicide vest and walking into a public place and detonating it, or doing a drive by a restaurant and opening up fire with an AK-47?
Megyn, there really isn't. That's the reality. I mean, you need a combination. We have to use the NSA, we have to use the CIA, the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Forces, and the police on the ground. Now, just this past July, we were told that ISIS was going to attack the United States, specifically New York, over the 4th of July. 5 ISIS operatives were arrested in New York City and northern New Jersey. If they had not been arrested, if they had not been stopped, we may well could have seen over the 4th of July the same type of carnage that we saw in Paris today.
How significantly, if at all, does this raise the alert level here? You know, we used to have the color-coded system. We got rid of that.
Yeah.
But what is likely to happen here in America over the next days and weeks?
Well, I can assure you that within moments of this happening in Paris, all of our agencies, FBI, Homeland Security, National Counterterrorism Center, FBI, all of them came together. The Joint Terrorism Task Forces, NYPD, here and I'm sure other police departments around the country, consolidating and assessing as much intelligence as they could, increasing the security patrols in New York. You're going to see a higher level of police protection, and there's going to be more police activity that you don't see. And I'm sure that'll be repeated in other major cities across the country. You're going to see more security at the airports. You're going to see us sharing whatever intelligence we have with the French, with the British, with the Germans and the Spaniards, because we don't know whether or not these attacks were just coordinated for Paris, or are they part of a worldwide series of coordinated attacks? All of that has to be looked at, and that's what's going on right now. It's a full court press.
We talked about essentially it's a police state tonight in France, where they're saying they can place you under house arrest if they find you suspicious. They can confiscate your weapons. Could that kind of thing happen here if we were to suffer an attack like this?
Megyn, we certainly don't want that to happen. And that's why when I was talking about the NYPD before and certain activities I think the FBI should carry out, to me, those are entirely within the Constitution. Yes, it's going further than maybe some of us in our idealistic world would like, but it does say within the Constitution. The danger is if something like this does happen, what happened in Paris, that people will want to give martial law powers to the government. We don't want that. I don't want that. But if we keep restricting the legitimate rights of police and the legitimate rights of law enforcement, if people keep yelling about the NSA, then that we could reach a situation where we do have an attack like this, and then people call for much more severe action than would have been required in the first place. And I would not want that to happen.
Congressman Peter King, thank you, sir.